Welcome to Salsidoparanormal. I'm your host, Jay Salcido, and tonight I'm sharing experiences, true paranormal stories from the web. As always, you can find all episodes of the show along with links to social media, ways to listen, and ways to support the show at the website, which is salsidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com. There are many ways to support the show. You can always share the show with others and rate and review it on your favorite podcast platforms. You can also check out the Patreon feed and get all the extra content there for as little as $1 a month. And you can also check out the merchandise store and get all kinds of shirts and some other items as well with designs made by friends of the show. Uh, and support is never expected but always appreciated, as there are expenses in making these shows. Also, please follow friends of the show. That would be Jen, the Arcane Observer, who has her own channel and also is the co-host of this show on Saturdays when she is able to make it, and Michael Strange of Trouble Minds Radio and the Trouble Minds Radio Network, KUAP Digital Broadcasting, where you can hear all kinds of amazing shows, as well as my own 24/7 online for free. And yeah, thank you all for being here and listening in. And let me get to the back to the stories here, these true stories. Uh, so I can put this whole one in, or at least most of it. This one says, the other day, I drove to one of my favorite restaurants to eat at around 8 p.m. after I watched a movie at the theaters. At the plaza that this restaurant was in, most of the stores closed around 9 or 10 p.m. The restaurant I went to closed at 10:30. I stopped by the restaurant at around 9:44 p.m. The plaza was not empty yet during that time. I ate my fill till around 10:15 and left that restaurant. Uh, sorry, lost my spot. Since it was still early, I went to another restaurant in the same plaza. I didn't leave there until around 11 p.m. By then, the plaza was mostly empty, with very few cars around. So I drove my car out. As I was leaving, I saw a woman standing in an odd pose by a tree. She had medium to long hair, with a short dress, her left hand on her hip, while her right hand looked as if she was holding on to the tree branch. Excuse me. As I drove past her, I looked at her. At the time, I kept thinking that she was probably waiting for her ride, but she wasn't moving at all. I kept looking at her from my car and wondered why she was standing there, so still. When I drove a small distance away, I tried to look back at her, but no matter where I looked, I couldn't find her. I was about to open my window to look out or even drive back to see if she was still there, but that notion freaked me out so much that I drove home instead. Before I left the whole plaza, I wanted to have another look at the lady, but I thought I saw something in my rearview mirror, uh, something crawling towards my car. I was a bit freaked out and just drove out of there as soon as I could. The drive home was very eerie. It felt like someone was in the car with me. I kept checking the passenger seat and back seats of my car, but there wasn't anything there. I can't help but keep thinking about what I saw that night. Was it a woman? There wasn't anyone around, and very few cars were there. I have been telling myself maybe it was a mannequin, but I'm not sure since that whole plaza was only has restaurants and a grocery store. I'm a bit regretful that I didn't drive back and look, but I'm also thankful that I didn't. That's where that one ends. Just the way that this figure seems so off that the writer there kept on looking back and then having that seeing something and it doesn't sound like they saw much detail, but I'm guessing a shadow of some kind crawling along the road and then having that weird feeling in your vehicle on the way home. I'm glad they didn't go back either. Uh, I don't know if the woman was the same being as the crawling entity that was on the road or whatever presence was in the vehicle. But I've heard and read similar accounts of one thing being there, vanishing, another thing appearing, and then vanishing, and so similar things where you have no idea was the person experiencing one thing or many things. It's impossible to know. Uh, so I don't know what happened there, but that is a wild experience, and I've heard similar ones and read similar ones before about similar activity. So um, it's definitely a pattern that can happen here and there. This next one says, my partner and I are sick with a cold and have not been sleeping well. He has recently moved into my house. We hear the routine use of the bathroom in the night by my 6-year-old, who sometimes goes back to his bed and sometimes comes crawling into mine. So his feet hit the floor from his loft bed, which was loud, and then scampered to the bathroom. We heard the toilet lid go up and hit the top of the pot. Then nothing. My partner mumbled that he's coming here next, right? And I sort of chewed him out, saying, yeah, he's a little kid. I'm his mom. Sometimes that's what happens. So we both waited to hear his footsteps to see whether he was going back to bed or coming for me. After a few minutes to head off a scene, I decided to get up and escort my little guy back to his room and tuck him in. But I got up and he was fast asleep already. He's warm, which means he hadn't moved. It wasn't him that was up. Also, the toilet seat was down, which he is pretty much allergic to, and we never heard him go back. So it wasn't him. The cat was confirmed to be outside, so we were just so stumped. We both heard the feet go to the toilet and the toilet lid go up. So weird. And that's where that one ends. I wonder if it was some kind of a residual sound. Um, I don't know what that could be. Residual from, depending on, I mean, how, I don't know, it's such a young kid. I don't think it could be residual from them. Maybe it's a time anomaly in that the sound traveled through time somehow. I've heard of that before in some of these accounts. Uh, but yeah, I don't know how else to explain it because everything that the writer there said makes sense as far as it seeming like the kid that she thought her kid had not gotten out of bed. Uh, so I don't know with that one, but so that one is odd. And again, as I always say with all these, I've heard similar accounts. This one is a short one, but it's fascinating in its own way. This one says, time is messing around lately. Once or twice I might have dismissed it as nothing, but it is clearly happening. For context, yesterday, I remember I was studying and I checked the time and it was around 11:50. The next minute I saw it and it was 11:30. Even before that, I saw the same kind of glitch. I checked the time and a few minutes later when I saw it again, it was 10 to 20 minutes before, almost as if time moved backward. And that's where that one ends. I cannot write that off because I've had a few times where I looked at the clock and I saw one thing, and I looked at it again not too long after, and I saw it was a previous minute or two. I haven't quite had the experience of 10 or 20 minutes, but it's I don't know. I mean, I can't rule it out. And yes, time is weird. And thank you all for being here. See you all in the chat there. I appreciate that. And but yeah, so I don't know how to explain that one, except like I said, I've found this reminds me a bit, and I wonder if it's the same thing or a different thing. I don't know if some of you remember one of my previous experiences shows. I shared an account from someone who said that the clock, every kind of non-internet connected clock that they would be around. I guess maybe it wouldn't be the same thing. I don't know, but um, whenever they'd go by a clock that was more of an old-fashioned clock, it would not be working right. It'd be slow. Uh, I can't remember if it was also fast or not. Actually, I think it was fast. I think it was yeah. Anyway, so I don't know if this is the same thing. If maybe the clocks in that case were not malfunctioning, and it was just this individual experiencing time in a different way, in a weird way. But I can't rule that out. So just because of this experience and others I've read about, and there's one I had. I've told this before, where I was sitting here listening to some kind of something or other. I forget now what it was, but I was relaxing, and at one point, one sound, whatever I was hearing, it sort of dragged out, and I was in some kind of a trance, and um, it went on for several seconds longer than it should have, and then I came out of it, and everything was back to normal again, and whatever I was listening to kept on playing like it was normal. So it was like time was distorted for a handful of seconds or so for me in that brief in that brief time period. So I don't know, but so again, there's so many of these experiences, and people have them, and if they don't look around, or if they only start to look around, they don't really always want to share them because they think that they're alone in having had this experience. But a lot of times they're not, and this is another part of why I do these shows is to show that. Excuse me. So, um, so yeah, let's get to at least two more in here. This one says, "This happened yesterday, and I'm still freaked out. I'm a writer, and I have a well-worn copy of Stephen King's On Writing that I've had since college. That's a book that he wrote about writing in general and his process of it, and it's actually a really good book. Not for the sort of writing advice. This is me, of course, talking, but just it's even. I think you'd still be enjoyable to read even if you're not really into writing. But I am biased. Anyway, says I was quoting a line from it to a friend over text messages, but couldn't remember the exact phrasing. I went to my bookshelf, pulled it out, and found the page. I left the book open on my coffee table and to the kitchen to get a drink. I was gone for maybe 90 seconds. When I came back, the book was gone. Not on the table, not on the floor, nowhere. I live alone. I tore my apartment apart looking for it. Nothing. Frustrated, I gave up and decided to go for a walk to clear my head. When I came back an hour later, the book was sitting perfectly centered on the coffee table, closed. My heart started pounding. I opened it. It fell open to the exact page I had been looking at. And there, in the margin, next to the paragraph, written in blue pen in handwriting almost identical to mine, were the words, "You already know this." I don't write in my books, ever. And I definitely didn't write that. I feel like I'm going crazy. And that's where that one ends. That one is odd in that it's an object vanishing and reappearing, which is not so unusual, but it's an object when it appears, it has writing in it. So I don't know how to feel about that one. Again, I don't know. Was there some other presence there that took the book while the writer, since they're a writer, it's kind of funny, while the person that made that post was in the kitchen and it was gone, and while the writer was gone, some being, put it back with those words in it. I'd really be curious to know what the phrase or what the paragraph was about. Uh, if it would add some kind of meaning to the whole experience, because otherwise I don't know. So, but yeah, that's an amazing one there. I understand the writer for being freaked out. Uh, so let's get to the next one here because it's a longer one. This one says, "So I have heard and seen stories like this on the internet, but have yet to experience it myself until tonight. This may seem like a boring story, but we are a tad freaked out, and I would just like to hear about any other possible experiences. Sorry. Earlier today, my friend picked me up for a day out with our kids. We went out for ice cream and took our kids to the park. I have a hand sanitizer attached to my purse. It's in one of the holders and attached with a hook type thing. The one I have is lemon scented, and it's a lotion base to help moisturize. Before we left the park, I shared my sanitizer with my friend, and she made a comment about it, saying she had never seen a lotion type sanitizer before, and she really liked the smell of it. We then left the park and packed up in her car for her to take us home. I should add that I sat in the back with the kids. She was in the passenger seat, and her boyfriend was driving. When she got home after dropping us off, she messaged me saying my sanitizer fell out of the holder and onto her seat. She sent me a picture of her holding it, saying she should give it back to me. I informed her she could keep it because I have 4 other refills. I went to my closet to grab a new one, all of which are different scents. I like to buy all different scents when I go shopping for these. I grabbed a new one, walked to my purse, went to replace it, and noticed the lemon one my friend claimed fell out in our car was still there. So, of course, I told her I still have it, and we both got weirded out. She swears no one else in her car would have had it, and it definitely wasn't there before I was. and I swear I only had one of that scent. I didn't bring a second one. And like I said, I always get all different scents, so that lemon one was the only one I had. She even said the one she found wasn't new. It was used. We are convinced there was a glitch in parallel universes or something. Has anyone had this happen to them? Like I said, I've heard stories, but it is unsettling to have it happen to you. And doesn't mean anything? Or truly just an odd glitch? We can't stop talking about how weird this feels. Tell us we aren't alone. And that's where that one ends. And yeah, that's an amazing one. The item is so specific in a way. It's not just um, a regular non-scented item, or it's not just a, let's say a I don't know. It's very specific to the situation, to the person involved. Their friend didn't even know about that brand of those, that product, or that, not that brand, the type of it, and so that makes it seem unlikely that it would have been something that was left in the back of their car. Also, why would it be in the back seat? And again, the writer did not find it in the back seat when they were in it. Their kids didn't find it in the back seat when they were in it, I'm guessing. So there's a lot there that is odd, and these are the kinds of things that I wonder about. And is it glitches in this individual universe? Is it some kind of connection, temporary connection, crossover, bleed through, whatever, of objects? Here's another question: when objects vanish or appear in places, and but they never come back, let's say in to the person in, let's say, universe A, which sounds wild to even say it this way, but let's say this person in universe A has something vanish, um, and then people in universe B, the different version of the same person or someone else, suddenly has an object. That object from universe A materialized there. Is that what happens when objects vanish? Again, I have no answers. Just asking questions here. And so yeah, that's I I've had objects again vanish and appear in my apartment. I live alone as well. I even had a package that I was waiting for in the mail not arrive in the mailbox and then materialize the next day in the apartment. So anyway, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you all for listening, and I will talk to you all next time on Salsido Paranormal. Take care.